Welcome. I'm Steph, an intuitive hypnotist from Quebec, Canada.
I'm Julie, a past life regression hypnotist and Reiki healer from Wisconsin.
And together, we are the Soulful Mystics.
You start the podcast yet? Is it still in the planning stages? Fill me in. What's the status?
We officially posted the first episode today.
What's it called?
Soulful Mystics.
I love it. And then what are you guys talking about? Just kind of like past lives, mysticism, just kind of wherever the conversation takes you?
Yeah, pretty much all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And then remind me, you guys met through Gina? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember like the month and the year you guys met? And have you ever met in person?
No.
Okay.
I have all the dates that we officially.
Okay. I love it. We're gonna be geeks together. Perfect. So I was gonna ask you like when you guys met or came into each other's lives. There's such like a resonance between your charts. So tell me a little bit in your own language how you guys connected, how you felt towards each other, and if you've had also any past life regressions where you guys have shown up in past lives together.
Well, I think when we were partnered up, we were the first partners through the hypnotic arts course.
Okay.
And so I had reached out to her on Instagram and we started talking basically through text to make it less awkward when we virtually met for the first time.
Love it.
I felt so comfortable with her. And when I was doing our dates, we literally spoke for the first time via message July 13th, 2022. I don't understand how that's possible because I feel like I've known her my whole life.
Like 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay.
We
That's
talk every
crazy.
single day. So.
Oh my God, I love it. And one of you, I forget which one, mentioned the other person in a reading with me.
Me.
Was it Julie? It was you. Okay. Honestly, that feels like years ago to me as well. So it's kind of crazy. Oh my God. Okay. Is there anything for the Soul Synastry session today that you guys wanted to focus on? Is it more booked out of curiosity? Tell me any intentions you have.
Well, I think it is a general curiosity, but we do have a couple of questions. Wondering about past lives. I think we did a little group hypnosis session with the Gina at the end of our class, and we did show up for each other as sisters.
Oh, sisters. Okay.
Yeah. And then Steph had a dream recently about a past life with the two of us together.
Was it sisters stuff or was it you're not sure of the role?
I'm not sure of the role.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, slam dunk, you guys have many past life connections, a really old connection. I'll go more into that today. Synastry can get really technical and even I have to kind of like work through my logical brain to kind of hammer it out. So ask questions, shut me up if you need to. If something comes out of my mouth that doesn't make sense, are you focusing on a Synastry episode or more of an astrology episode, or is it more about a past life episode, do you think?
I think it's more of a synastry just because we do talk about how, I mean, like when we first saw each other on Zoom, we were instantly drawn to each other. And I think that was super weird for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the more we talked and got to know each other, everything about us is the same. We still find more and more things that are so similar. It is so crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I will go into the astrology of it. I do want to start with the sun and the moon signs in both of your charts. I mean, we'll go into the past life symbolism, of course, and more of the deeper layers of the connections between you, but I do want to bring up your sun and your moon signs. Julie, you know, you are a Gemini sun sign. Okay. Stephanie, you are a Sagittarius moon sign. Gemini and Sagittarius are opposite signs. They're sister signs. Anytime there's an opposite sign link, and yours is almost like exact, you guys actually make a full moon connection in your birth charts, which is kind of witchy. And Gemini and Sagittarius are medicine for each other. It's an easy flow. You both are on learning lifetimes where you just want to gobble up knowledge. You're both seekers, all that kind of stuff. Gemini asks the questions where Sagittarius more wants knowledge and like the truth. So I like this balance for a podcast because one of you, might be questioning, where one of you might get more into preachy territory, and keeping each other in check. Okay. And this is almost an exact aspect. I mean, it's only 3 degrees apart, which is a pretty close orb in astrology. So I wanted to bring up that sun and moon connection by itself, and then I'll go into the other sun and moon connection. Any questions about the Gemini Sagittarius link? Again, sun and moon sign.
No, but that makes so much sense. I just re-listened to our first 2 episodes, and that's exactly those are the roles that we have for sure.
Oh, really? Okay.
I annoy myself sometimes when I preach so much. So I was thinking of that. That's really cool.
Okay. Yeah. Both seekers. And I'll go more into the Sagittarius link in a second. Okay. Julie, you are a Pisces moon sign, while Stephanie, you are a Cancer sun sign. These are both water signs. Okay. And sun and moon are different levels of vibration, but it's still a link. And what is happening in your birth charts together when I stack them on top of each other is your sun sign, Stephanie, is in a trine aspect to Julie's Pisces moon. And a trine in astrology is considered a harmonious aspect. You guys are actually emotionally and empathic towards each other, even if you haven't met in person. It doesn't matter. This link transcends the physical dimension in my world. So if one of you goes through an emotional spike now, the other person might feel it, even if you're not talking at the time it happens. Have you guys noticed this yet? That there's
every time.
I'm getting goosebumps on my head. So this is a crazy connection.
Literally cancel our plans to record podcasts or to do a regression with each other because of how we're feeling. And when we make that like text one another, it's like the other one's feeling the same way.
Oh, okay. So the emotional ups and downs, you guys notice you kind of ride those waves together.
Oh, for
whether
sure.
It's an internally emotional thing or an external event that causes the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you can talk to each other and be like, I'm not good today. Like, I can't be on. I got to process this. I got to move through it. That is a great link. The downside of this link is you can empath each other's emotions, whether you're talking or not. So if one of you is crabby, the other one might feel crabby, that kind of thing. However, the positive of this is you actually make each other more intuitive and more psychic. So when you are talking, you might notice like my goosebumps are kicking on with you guys. Like I feel the goosebumps in my sessions. That is my sign for truth. So things between you might get really goosebumpy, and you might be able to communicate with each other honestly without words the more you get to know each other. Mm-hmm. So both sun and moon signs in both of your charts connected. Like you each have a sun and moon, and all 4 of the points are talking to each other. Let's see. Let's keep going here. So now I want to get into, if you have any questions about the sun, moon, or different planets, let me know. I'm planning to focus on the strongest past life connections and themes that I see. And then maybe we'll go into some soul contract stuff too. At the end of this session, I'm going to look at that Davison chart that I sent you, which is merging your charts together. And I'm going to read you as one entity. All right, let's start with your Sagittarius energy. So again, Steph, you are a Sagittarius moon, and Julie, your past life symbol is Sagittarius. Okay. Oh. So the strongest, loudest past life connection I can see is with a Sagittarius vibration. And with the moon connection, the moon is symbolic of where we feel cozy. The moon is kind of like home and family. The moon is also soul. So you guys have a strong Sagittarius fiery link that is comfortable, inexplicably, probably. Like, why do I feel so cozy with you? I can feel like I can talk to you about anything and you won't judge me. That is something that your souls together have mastered in past lifetimes together. So one of you mentioned a past lifetime is probably sisters. Mm-hmm. Sisters sometimes hate each other and want to claw each other's eyeballs out. So you guys have done the sister thing. Sagittarius is also the preacher, the teacher, the prophet, the guru, the gypsy, and the traveler. So many lifetimes of maybe doing the prophet thing, teaching your knowledge to the masses. So I love that you guys are joining forces and wanting to do that again in an age of Aquarius vibration, starting a podcast, all that kind of stuff. One thing to watch out for with your Sagittarius link, maybe this has come up in the short time you guys have known each other, but always wanting to be right or wanting your truth to be the truth. And Sagittarius has to learn that maybe truth is subjective. Maybe there is no objective truth, but both of you have this seeking inside of you of finding knowledge, of finding wisdom and finding truth. Sagittarius, I'll tell you how I work with Sag, the positive and the negative. So the positive vibration of Sagittarius is the guru, wanting to spread joy, wanting to spread positivity, all of that kind of guru energy. The negative vibration of Sagittarius is the cult leader. So very fine line in between these two titles these days, because you can't always tell one from the other. So there might have been, honestly, negative lifetimes where you guys were a little culty or wanted to kind of like push your visions on other people. And I've come to the realization lately, and I think you both are very old souls, that as old souls, we've played with the dark and we've played with the light. And now as light workers in this lifetime, you are choosing the light. So the positive vibration of Sagittarius, again, that guru, spreading knowledge, wisdom, and really just seeking. And to seek, we have to ask a lot of questions to get the answers. And that's where Julie, your Gemini sun and your Gemini soul contract are really going to wrap that all together. I will say when I saw the moon connection, moon is family and comfort zone, but moon is also mom. There's very likely one of you or both of you have played a mother role in a past lifetime. Once I say that out loud, do you feel that? Or is one of you a mom to the other, or is it both? And mom, but I mean like nurturing and caregiving and really want the best for the other person. You guys both might have had that role, or maybe one of you might have had it more often in a past life.
I'd say both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say with the moon connection, you are in the same cosmic family, not that you were born in the same family in this lifetime. I don't know if you've done any like genetic work to see if you are long lost cousins or something. I don't know if that's even possible. Who knows? But there's a soul family connection. You've been incarnating previously as family members. So not surprised there was a sister lifetime. And then Steph, you had a vision of another lifetime, but you couldn't quite pinpoint the relation. Is that right? Both female? Is it female lifetimes?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, the moon is the feminine. So I would guess more female lifetimes, but Sagittarius is a masculine sign. So maybe both. Okay. Next topic. This is a really old karmic connection. And what I looked at with you guys also was any skip step for missed karma and things that were not completed in past lifetimes. You can have a skip step in your birth chart. You can have skip steps activated at different times in your life. You can have skip steps between other people. And I'll get to that a little bit later. But a lot of the karma between you is cleared. There's not a lot of stuff you guys haven't gone through together and worked out. One of the oldest connections in your birth chart, I'm looking at Saturn now. Saturn is, old man Saturn. He's the taskmaster. He's like ancient stuff in my world. And you have a Saturn, Pluto, Scorpio past life connection. And this is where most of your work as souls together has gone down. I will say everything I talk about going forward, make sure it resonates with both of you. I am reading in symbols and doing my best to interpret them, but I want you to run all of this information through your intuitive filter. You guys, for lack of better language, have been through some fucked up shit together as souls. You have seen each other maybe get beheaded, burn at the stake of witches. Like you've been through some trauma. However, by the time you get to this time and space, your souls have healed and worked through and cemented your bond through all of the darkness that you guys have experienced. There is something in this link. Again, I'm looking at Saturn, Pluto, Scorpio. Scorpio is the dark. Scorpio is not always comfortable energy, telling me that in this lifetime, you guys can handle a lot together. So maybe as you go forward working as a team on your show, you will talk about very uncomfortable subjects. This is Scorpio territory. Scorpio is the sign that can kind of head towards the things on this planet that a lot of people want to be like, I'm out. I don't want to talk about, death or, very uncomfortable subject matters. And there's something in your charts together that tells me you as a team can like anchor in and stay grounded through very intense topics, very intense emotional waves. Is this making sense? Anything you want to add or bring up? And I assume you're going to talk about some of this crazy stuff.
I've actually said recently that Julie grounds me. sometimes I just talk about all the things. And then afterwards, I think maybe I overshared. And Julie does have that ability to ground me. And I don't know. And it is non-judgmental. And that's what I really love about her.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps. I see Julie's chart, how it impacts yours stuff is like she is a grounding cord for you. It's like she's a rock. And then Julie, just keep tabs on that. Both of you together are a very powerful force to transmute darkness into light. And that not only is darkness inside each of you, we all have that. It's like you guys together are going to do a lot for the collective. And almost be a grounding cord for the collective. But Julie, it will go through you. There is a potential, Julie, in your birth chart for emotions to get stuck in your body and emotions that are not yours. So just make sure you're doing the work to purge, to release, to clear yourself. Even if you're talk to Steph and you don't feel that much, just, not that Steph, you're projecting darkness onto her, but Julie, again, you're taking the heavier load of that grounding cord.
Okay.
Okay.
And is there anything that I can do to help support her in that?
Good question. I would say, Steph, for you, make sure you're always tuned into the positive of your past life symbolism, which is Leo. Also wanting to spread joy. I mean, both of you have past life symbols and fire signs. So for lifetimes, you've wanted to spread joy. You wanted to turn that frown upside down. So even Steph, if you're moving through something very difficult, make sure you have your eye on the prize, which is the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. And really just focus on the joy and all your calls with what brought you joy today. Something like that to kind of turn the frown upside down. Great question. The next topic I see repeating a few times, I wanted to ask both of you about. There are some, what I will call wounding signatures between you that are healing on a personal level. And also you guys coming together will heal this as well. Your chart hits suggest that you've had either really pious lifetimes together where you were stuck in lifetimes where you feel like you couldn't escape. Somebody was keeping you down. There's actually symbolism like your voices were ripped away or you weren't allowed to speak. So there's throat chakra stuff that coming together should help heal this in each other. Have you guys talked about throat chakra work together or healing at all?
You just hit the nail on the head for both of us.
Tell me more about that.
I know for me, it's a lot of not speaking up for myself, and I don't really speak out on things. So for me, doing a podcast, it's way outside my comfort zone, but I'm
I figured.
really happy to be doing it. You can talk about your stuff.
Yeah, so I had laryngitis multiple times, which I think we spoke about, Meredith, and
we probably did because your throat chakra. Yeah. And that's the link actually between your charts, Steph. It's strongest in you.
Yeah, I have a lot of trouble with my voice physically. Even now, sometimes, like if I try to scream, nothing comes out. Or if I try to sing loudly, even nothing comes out. And also, we were recently talking about, I think on our first conversation that we just called each other to chat about our lives, I told her that I can't say the F word.
Yeah.
I can't say it.
Do you have any explanation for why?
No.
Was your mouth washed out with soap as a kid when you said it? Or
no, we were just talking about this yesterday because we had a gathering with the rest of the hypnotic art students that we were classmates with. And we were talking about maybe doing some shadow work or sound healing for my voice and speaking that truth. And Julie really did help me to connect those dots throughout the hypnotic arts journey, that you went from no voice to wanting to start a podcast. So that's growth. And it is, and I'm really proud of that growth, but I can say that I wouldn't have been able to do it without Julie there. So that's kind of in the healing of speaking my truth. I can protect other people. I can speak out for other people, but I feel like people don't care about what I have to say.
Interesting. Yeah, you both have throat chakra stuff, although the wounding signatures are in like different vibrations for each of you. They're going to show up differently. And I want to go back to the F word stuff. This just popped in my head, and take this or leave this because this is like kind of next level stuff. The F word is thought to maybe stand for fornication under consent of the king. And Steph, you've got some Leo past lifetimes. That's royalty. Maybe you were kind of allergic to that word because maybe there's some truth to the undertones of what that word means. And you're just like, I am done with those lifetimes. I don't even want to hear that word ever again. I have never honestly heard anyone say they don't like that word because it's one of my favorite words.
Oh, I love the word. I love it when
You
Julie
can't say it. Oh,
People with a potty mouth make me laugh so hard. And I wish I was able to say it, but I can't explain
to
the
each
struggle.
their own. And that could go back to a past life signature. And maybe there's some truth, especially with your Leo kind of symbolism. Like you were kings and queens eras, more so than Julie, at least in your chart stuff. So the fornication piece or under consent of the king, you're like, I don't want to do things under consent of the king. Maybe that's what your soul is just like sick of. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in your lifetime you release that. Again, this religious kind of cage symbolism. I don't know if it's religious or pious, but it's like you guys were clamped down together. And let me ask you both, the same symbol for this religious pious lifetime sometimes is honestly prostitution. So I ask my clients, do you feel like you were a nun or a prostitute in a past lifetime? And if I asked you guys that now, can you answer quickly without thinking about it too much? Prostitute?
Prostitute, yeah.
Julie, do you have an answer?
I mean, based on how I am now, I'd say none.
Okay. So that's kind of fun to play with because I got this information by working with a psychic for years. And she kept pulling in lifetimes of either a nun where you're like, this is my life. I'm married to God, whatever. And the same symbol she was pulling in prostitution lives where, this is my life. I can't get out of it. I have no other options. Different lives, but same symbolism. You know what I mean? And there is a link between you of you've had some lifetimes where one of you was trying to break the other person out, or you were both in this lifetime where you feel like you couldn't break free of the chains that bound you. Okay. And there is, again, some wounding signatures here. And I'm looking at Chiron, the wounded healer. So it's like you guys are bringing consciousness to some underlying wounds or baggage by coming together and in order to bring it to your conscious awareness for forgiveness and release. So it will be healed in your lifetimes together, this lifetime. All right. Next thing, I always look at synastry. I look for skip steps between people. And most of my synastry work is marriages or couples, sometimes business partnerships. And the average skip steps I see between people are about 4 to 5, maybe 3 to 5. I don't think I've had one couple maybe that didn't have a skip step. And of course, we talked about them in the individual birth chart. You guys have one skip step together. And just for anyone listening that doesn't know what a skip step is, in evolutionary astrology, it's thought of as a soul contract you guys had together in a past incarnation and it wasn't completed. Either free will or free choice. You're like, I'm out. I'm going to keep doing the prostitute thing, or I'm not sure what you guys were doing back then. Or you were killed too fast. And there's plenty of Scorpio and Pluto signatures between you that tell me that you might have been, got your head chopped off before you could complete the mission. Honestly, you guys have one of the best skip steps, maybe the easiest one you can possibly have between people. And it's Venus. Venus is the only skip step that I can see between you. Venus represents love, harmony, balance, money. Also, she can represent money. And for you, the skip step is in Taurus, which is a money sign, but Taurus is also about security, stability. So basically, in a nutshell, a love relationship that is done your way, that makes you both feel more stable, more grounded, more Taurus in this lifetime, that it's something you haven't completed. So most of the time when I talk about skip steps, I'm like, oh, you guys got some work to do. But I'm like, all you guys have to do is like love each other. That's it. And I don't really know what this skip step, why it's there or how it shows up. But when I see it in romantic couples, usually they like see each other from across the room. They're like, there you are. And for you guys meeting online and still not meeting in the physical, which is such an Age of Aquarius thing. I mean, I have friendships too that I've never met in the physical now. And that's just the last couple of years of my life. So any thoughts or anything pop into your super psychic heads of yours about what Venus following you into this lifetime that was not completed from past ones?
Well, it's funny that you bring up Taurus because I know that Julie's a Gemini. I know that, but I always think Taurus. And we both have issues with money that we wanted to dive into. So we feel like we have some karmic issues surrounding money because we're building our own business and helping each other through that. But we struggle with asking for money for our services. We kind of help each other make sure that we don't sell ourselves short, just kind of encouraging each other through that. So when you said Taurus and money.
Okay, I wonder this is more financial karma.
Yeah.
Because Taurus is a money sign and Venus is a money symbol. And Remind me, you have separate businesses, right?
Yeah.
Not joining like a business partnership, just doing the podcast together?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Taurus, like, know your worth. You're worth
Yeah.
it. So this might be more on the financial side of things karmically instead of the love vibration of Venus, which I think makes sense after what you said, Steph. So money stuff, again, has followed you into this lifetime and you guys are going to help each other resolve it. Okay, now I want to switch gears. I kind of focused on your Mercuries because Mercury in astrology is the planet of communication, thinking, how you speak, how you process information. And if you guys are doing a podcast together and also on the hypnosis route, you're going to want to look at your Mercury. And Steph, not surprised, you thought Julie was more of a Taurus because she's got Mercury in Taurus. Steph, you've got no Taurus energy. So that is a foreign sign to you. And you might just see that. And honestly, Julie is learning Gemini in this lifetime. So she's not a typical Gemini because her soul contract is like, I got to figure out Gemini. I got to figure out how to communicate and speak my truth in this lifetime. Okay. I want to say, and this is a little bit more advanced astrology, so I won't maybe go too much into the nuts and bolts of this. But when I put your charts together, and it's called a bi-wheel, and I'll put one of you in the middle and one of you on the outside, and then I'll switch it. I'll put the other person in the middle and the other person on the outside. And it's thought of like I can see your perspectives of each other depending on who's in the center. And that's a little bit advanced. So I won't spend too much time on that. But when I do this in your charts, your Mercuries for the other person show up in the career part for the other person. Doesn't matter how I look at the chart. So Steph, your Mercury is in Julie's 10th house. So it's the career part of the chart, and vice versa. Julie, your Mercury is in Steph's part of the chart for career. So you guys doing something with Mercury, communication together in a career sense, and the career part of the chart is also the public part of the chart. So getting your voices out on the public stage is a link I see between your charts. Any questions on that? So just wanted to say where they fall, and I'm going to describe the different vibrations of them.
I don't have any questions. It's just so crazy that it's like right on.
It's nuts. Yeah, I'm goosebumpy, you guys. Seriously. Yeah. Steph, let's just start with your Mercury. You have Mercury in Cancer. So the way you communicate, process information is more of an emotional way. It's like you might think your feelings or feel your thinkings. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Also, the where your Mercury lands, it's conjunct your sun. So you very likely are channeling a lot of what you say, especially if there's not like a script in front of you. If you're just shooting the shit and just letting words come out of your mouth, they might feel like they're flowing through you. Can you speak at all to what I just described?
Yeah, I think in our first episode, we wrote a script, and the parts that I cut out, I said, if I don't have a script, my thoughts are so scattered because so much is coming in that I just kind of spit it all out. And then when I listen to the way Julie speaks, it's very concise and to the point. And I just seem like to myself, like a hot mess of just throwing things out, but she understands what I say.
Yeah, that's not Gemini. But yeah, your Mercury in Cancer, Steph, Cancer being a water sign, it can feel like your thoughts and your thinkings and your words are floating all over the place. But I love Julie's energy because, again, she's a grounding core, but she's an anchor for your boat. So you might feel like you're flowing all over the place, but for whoever needs to hear your words, it will land with them exactly how they need to.
Yeah.
And Steph, you've got major wounding with Mercury in your chart. I think we've talked about this in a prior session. And your throat chakra will heal the fastest actually through tribe energy. So forming your tribe, and I assume Julie's part of this tribe now. So that is how you're going to gain confidence in speaking with tribal support or friendship support. Okay.
Yeah.
Julie, your Mercury is in Taurus. This is an earth sign, more grounded, pragmatic, maybe logical in how you speak. Taurus typically processes information a little bit more slowly. This is not a bad or negative thing. I know when I have clients that are heavy on Taurus energy, I have to slow down my Gemini rising. I have to speak more slowly. It just might take you a little bit longer to absorb and process the information. I mean, Steph, this is relevant to you too, because you have to like find all the information and incorporate it. But Julie, can you speak to that? Do you notice that you speak slower, or more grounded in your approach to talking. You do have that Gemini sun, so you might be like squirrel and like all over the place, but your Mercury and Taurus wants a slow process and speech pattern.
Yes, processing things slowly. If I'm learning something new, I feel like I have to read it and reread it before it sinks in, or like I have to write everything down for me to comprehend certain things. I read a page and have no idea what I just read. And so like I have to go back and read it. I don't know. Maybe some of that's a little ADHD, but
yeah, I mean, which is Gemini's prone to. But Julie, for you, before you read, before you do a podcast, before you do your healing work, it's so important for you to get grounded.
yeah.
I also put Mercury to link to the throat chakra in the birth charts. That's just my own personal practice. And both of your Mercuries are wounded or have a lot of karma. So your throat chakras, we've talked about this already as individuals, and you're helping each other with that. You might find, Julie, when you get really fired up, really passionate, you might notice your speech speeding up. It's almost like, Julie, for you, you have to keep tabs on your energy level and take a slow and steady pace as much as you can, but you might have to train yourself to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, yeah, get grounded as much as you can before you talk.
Okay.
One other thing, there's lots of Mercury connections. I don't really know what to bring up and what not to, but just know that your partnership, there is a symbol for partner in the birth chart. I use Juno for that. And that's, romantic partners or BFF kind of symbolism. Your partnership helps you both process information, talk about things. You are both helping each other without actually taking classes or studying, become better speakers. And you're going to see, doing a podcast together, your evolution. You're going to listen to that first episode in a year and you're going to be like, whoa, look how far we've evolved. Look how far we've come. Let me ask, since you just launched your first episode today, is that correct?
Mm.
How hyper were you guys about it? I mean, you did your best, I'm sure, but like, do you notice how much time it took to maybe put out the first episode, and that's going to get easier with time? Does that make sense? Were you a little bit Mercury, like toaster in a bathtub?
Nervous about it. And I think too, we were like, okay, this isn't the best, but instead of redoing this whole thing, let's just go ahead and put it out there.
It's the pilot. It's the pilot. Yeah.
Even the episodes that we've already recorded after that have already gotten better.
Okay, good. You should see a very rapid evolution, especially how you're speaking, how you're dialoguing between each other. Your partnership, again, you don't have to take a class, is going to just anchor in and evolve with time. You also have a connection with Pluto. Everywhere I look, Mercury and Pluto talking to each other in your charts together. So I'll give you the positive and negative of this. Pluto is death. So again, going back to past life theory, you have both been killed probably for speaking your truth, which maybe in past life hypnosis you've pulled in and figured that out. But Pluto is also the planet of rebirth and transformation and evolution. So you will be healing and evolving from this throat chakra karma with each other, and you will evolve and actually have a rebirth in throat chakra energies. And I think the podcast will help a lot with that. Almost forces you to be on the public. There's no force, like you signed up for this, but you're putting yourself on the public stage rather uncomfortably, but it again, evolve with time. Okay. That's what I pulled out with your individual birth chart. I pulled what's called a Davison chart, and this is what I use in Synastry sessions. And let me just explain what this is. The Davison chart takes the midpoint of your birthdays, the place you were born, so the midpoint, longitude, latitude, and the midpoint of the time you guys took your first breath. So I find the middle of, or my software finds the middle of all of those things, coordinates, and makes one chart that represents you both as an entity. Together, you guys are a Sagittarius sun sign. So very interestingly, one of you is a past life Sagittarius and one of you is a moon sign Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, again, strong link between your individual birth charts and shows up in this Davison chart as a couple. So seeking truth, knowledge, emphasized again as one person. There's a lot of energy in your Davison chart in the fourth house, reiterating that theme of home and family. So the fourth house in astrology is home and family. You guys are, in my world, again, soul family. This chart backs that up, the link that I see in your individual charts. What I want to describe next is interesting, and I want to ask questions about this. I want to make sure it lands with you both. In this chart, and this is a real chart. This is a chart that can exist in nature. There's other forecasting methods that create charts that don't exist in nature and they don't resonate with me. In this chart, the sun, your sun sign in Sagittarius, is aligned with the planet Uranus. Okay. Uranus is a game changer planet. Uranus is the weirdo of the zodiac. Even in outer space, he does weird shit. Okay. He doesn't follow the rules that all the other planets do in the solar system. And Uranus is the ruler of the sign of Aquarius. So I am an Age of Aquarius fanatic. I have a mission as an individual to help anchor in the Age of Aquarius energies on Earth. And you guys together have this Aquarian vibration linked with the planet Uranus. Okay. So you guys coming together actually create a force as you as a couple to help anchor in the Age of Aquarius energies on Earth. And together, the important thing to ask you as you work together as a team is, are you both being authentic? That is a keyword for Aquarius and Uranus. And both of you together have more energy than you do as individuals of saying, don't tell me what to do and don't tell me how to do something. Uranus Aquarius pushes back against kind of keeping up with the Joneses. Like you guys feel maybe more comfortable being weird and authentic and eccentric with each other than maybe you do kind of outside without each other. Okay. So this Uranus link is so interesting to me because it tells me that together you guys will be game changers. And if you shine your light together, which is the sun sign, the sun wants to shine. And through authenticity, you will both have ripple effects on the collective. So I wanted to describe that Uranus sun sign Sagittarius link. Any questions about that? Did that land with both of you?
Yeah, I'd say it definitely lands because I feel that energy. I think it's the Leo in me as well that I've learned to just be weird, be myself, and the people who don't like it will walk away. And so less work for me. And the people who enjoy that aspect of me will be more attracted to be friends. It took me a while to get there.
Steph, you just described your karma. Leo past lives want external validation for a lot of things. And as you age, you're gonna be like, I don't need that anymore. I don't need that to be complete. And your soul contract is an Aquarius. So
well, there you go.
Absolutely. Okay. Oh, that Mercury, that throat chakra. Your throat chakra shows up in this chart. Honestly, this is the most difficult aspect I see in this couple's chart. Mercury in this chart is exactly conjunct the planet Saturn, which is the Lord of Karma. Saturn in a birth chart is the mountain to climb. So you guys have a mountain to climb with Mercury together, which again is, we said there's going to be evolution there. There's going to be times working together where you feel like you might be hitting your head against the wall or things are coming the long, the slow, and the hard way. That is Saturn. Saturn wants us to do the work, demands we do the work. He doesn't give us any shortcuts, anything for free. So your mountain to climb as a partnership is to help each other, be each other's rocks with Mercury, again, the throat chakra. So this shows up in your Davison chart as well as your individual charts. So again, this is the toughest energy. That's Saturn. He's tough to open up and complete and clear the karma related to your throat chakras. Your past life symbol together, which is a little weird for me. I still don't know how to word this. The past life symbolism in your Davison couples chart is Libra. So that tells me in past lifetimes, you guys have hit a Libra vibration. Libra is the sign of relationships, harmony, and balance. You guys have mastered this energy together in past lifetimes. So I like this chart hit. This is another chart where I look for skip steps. 0, nothing. So the only skip step you guys have together is between your individual charts, and it's Venus, which we discussed already is probably financial stuff. This is where it gets a little juicy, you guys. Okay. Your public reputation together is represented by Gemini, the sign of communication. Also, your public reputation together has a Chiron link, the wounded healer. So you guys communicating about healing, literal translation in your Davison chart. In your Davison chart, you guys have a yod. And let me describe what this is. It's very rare to see a yod. It's nicknamed the finger of God, and it points to something in the birth chart or a chart. And it's thought of as a destiny. I don't know why I don't like the word destiny. Steph, you don't like the F word. I don't know why. I don't like the word destiny, but that's what it's thought of as in astrology. Your yod, what it points to is the midheaven, which is your career, your public reputation, something to do on the public stage, which I already mentioned is represented by Gemini, the communicator. So it's very possible this podcast is just the beginning of a public persona or a public role you guys will have together with Gemini, the sign of communication. The other ingredients in this yod are Neptune, which is mysticism, psychic, intuition. He's Poseidon, Lord of the Sea. We're all drops in this big cosmic ocean. So I think, what is the title of your podcast? Mystic something?
Soulful mystics, yeah.
Soulful mysticism. Can't make this up. So Neptune is one of the ingredients in the yod. The other ingredient is Pluto. Pluto, again, transformation, evolution, soul. Pluto is also another symbol for soul. So Pluto, soul, Neptune, mysticism, pointing to the midheaven, which is your public persona together. There's one other minor ingredient that I want to bring up. Not sure if she's come up in any individual session, and this is Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena is an ingredient in this yod. She's an asteroid goddess. She was the daughter of Zeus in mythology. In astrology, she represents woman in a man's world. Also a brilliance at nonviolent conflict resolution. And I would advise with some of the Davison chart signatures, just make sure you guys have a roadmap of how you will move through conflict together. I am confident you can do it, but the only negative thing about your Libra past life symbolism together is Libras are famous for conflict avoidance. So just figure out now, like, okay, if we have a different idea of the topic or, you know, what's our roadmap? How are we going to communicate together to move through conflict? But Pallas Athena will be helping you out there. So your Sagittarius sun sign, your Cancer moon together, which again, this mother energy shows up. Cancer is mother energy of the zodiac. So as a partnership, you want to nurture and care for the other person and provide emotional warmth and support. There also is some tribal energy that shows up in this chart. And I think you guys have a pretty good tribe. I don't know if you have the same tribe members, but I think with time, you will grow a tribe or a following or something like that. Do you guys have other people that you've connected with, whether through Gina or classes together? Because I think your tribe will expand.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the women in our class.
Yep. Cancer is the feminine too.
And we're both in kinship.
Oh, are you? Oh, great.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's talk about your soul contract as a partnership. So you've come from Libra energy together. You've mastered harmony, balance, relationship together. That's Libra stuff. I don't know how quite to translate this. Maybe we can hash it out a little bit. The soul contract you each have as a partnership is Aries, the sign of the self. So I guess the only thing coming to mind for me is the karma you have together is to keep the me. Both of you keep the me inside of the we. So not one person dominating the conversation, not one person, taking charge on everything. That will be the karma in this Davison chart, is like you guys keeping your individuality and authenticity, even though you're a we. Does that make sense? I can't really think of anything else this could mean.
The thing that comes to my mind is how similar we are. I mean, it's probably, especially like on the podcast, when we talk about certain topics, staying authentic and true to ourselves, although we have very similar opinions on things.
That's good though. That's good.
Yeah.
Aries is also the sign of like the hero's journey. So you guys going through the hero's journey together, especially with this throat chakra stuff, maybe that could be the symbolism of this soul contract I see between you. Your soul contract in this Davison chart is in the 8th house, which is one of my favorite houses. So as you age together now, you are going to be going through and head towards 8th house themes together, which is taboo, occult, Scorpio territory. Nobody wants to talk about this stuff. And I'll put the theme of death, which is the 8th house territory. At least in the US and the way I grew up, like our culture sucks at death. No one wants to talk about it. And there might be themes, especially as past life people, like telling people we've possibly died thousands of times. There might be some death topics that you guys head towards. as in your partnership that other people, like I said, don't like, ugh. So I can guarantee some topics on your podcast, they're not going to be for everybody. Probably a very small following, especially with the Saturn energy I see. It's going to take a while to grow. It's going to grow the long, slow, hard way. But when it does it that way, the rewards are greater at the end of the day. So don't be afraid to dive into the 8th house, look it up, because I see there's a soul contract to kind of like do the hero's journey and talk about uncomfortable 8th house topics, which is really where we incorporate our dark. We don't run from our shadow, admit that maybe we've had lifetimes working from the dark, but we're choosing the light, all that kind of stuff. So look up the 8th house. You guys have a mission with those themes together.
I feel like we've already had some of those conversations already.
All right. Perfect.
I love talking about death.
Really? Yeah. I always say like, I'm looking forward to it too. And I've heard it's easier than birth. Yeah. And as old souls, you're like, oh, and there's thoughts of in the age of Aquarius, as we move forward in time. I've talked to Gina about this too, because she pulled in a lifetime. And my husband actually had a dream about a similar lifetime, and he's not into this stuff, about being able to consciously leave your body. Instead of just like, oh, you get hit by a bus. It's like in some realities, and maybe this will happen on Earth in the age of Aquarius, I'm not ruling it out. We will actually, as souls, be able to consciously be like, I'm done. I'm tired. I accomplished my mission. I'm going to like float off in the ocean now and leave the body. So again, wild and weird is what you guys are supposed to do.
I actually had a past life where I died like that.
You decided to. It was a conscious decision.
Yeah. It was like,
interesting.
Well, done. I'm out.
Very cool. Yeah. Pluto again is the planet of death, and he's involved in your yod. I didn't mention this, but Pluto in this chart is conjunct Venus. So bringing more love and light to these uncomfortable death themes, again, part of maybe your destiny here. So when I look at forecasting, I'm going to be working from your Davison chart. So instead of looking at individual charts, I'm going to go back in time and forwards in time using the chart that makes you guys one. Got it? Okay. July 13th, 2022. This is going back to your soul contract in Aries. I see you guys have that Aries soul contract together. When you guys started talking to each other, Chiron, the wounded healer, was on top of your soul contract together. So you started a healing hero's journey by coming together. And not long after that, Jupiter was in Aries in 2022. Jupiter came in and is going to come in 2023, expanding your relationship. So you have Jupiter, the planet of good luck and abundance, influxing your Davison chart for 2023. So Jupiter is also the planet of knowledge and wisdom. And you guys kind of like doing the hero's journey, opening those throat chakras. Jupiter is going to help you this year as well. So I know you've only known each other for 6 months and it feels like years, but I feel like there's going to be rapid evolution in 2023 alone. So Chiron was an ingredient in your first meeting, the wounded healer. And again, he's in the public part of your chart together. So you talking about Chiron themes too, which you guys are both in the healing profession. So that makes sense. Any other dates from the past stuff you want to ask me about? Otherwise, I'll look into the future about meeting.
Well, we had our first chat about the podcast. So I had asked her a little bit earlier, but our first chat via Zoom was on November 2nd, face-to-face chat.
November 2nd?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Your yod was activated November 2nd. This is wild. My brain is having trouble translating this into English. This is okay. I'm just going to tell you the astrology of it because I don't know how to translate it. Your yod was activated again, this destiny to communicate on the public stage. And that was activated the day you started this conversation. The day you had this conversation, the planet Venus was at 13 degrees Scorpio. A soul contract symbol was at 13 degrees Scorpio. And in your Davison chart, Venus is at 13 degrees Scorpio. So I don't know. I don't even know. I would need a while to meditate on what all that means. But the fact that your yod was activated, and I see this communication kind of journey, like when a yod is activated, it's this like magnetic kind of like, yes, there's something like I feel goosebumpy. Like, I don't know why something's pulling me. Is that kind of how it was? And I don't know if you're like, podcast, what? Like, I don't even know who came up with the idea. It doesn't matter. But since Venus is involved here, and we've talked about Venus and your other charts about financial stuff, there is possibility for financial gain or at least clearing some financial karma by doing this podcast together. There's a big shift with your career together in the summer of 2024.
Okay.
So again, with this kind of work, make sure the passion is there, make sure it feels authentic. If you take a hiatus, a lot of shows do, that's fine too. If you need to kind of step back and recharge. It's a lot of energy expenditure to do a podcast. I know from personal experience, but it's so worth it. So good. All right, ladies, anything else before we log off?
I'm good.
Yeah, I the only thing I was going to ask was, how we can better show up and support each other, but I feel like you've already touched on that.
Yeah, I mean, I could throw you astrology stuff, but I feel like you guys know each other so well and have this bond that it's like above my pay scale, that you guys are good. Just again, I guess, really have a plan in place for conflict. No matter how big or small, like especially conflict between each other, because you guys are going to be a little allergic to that. You're not going to like to be, maybe you won't get irritated by each other, but like just even little things like, okay, I just need to be able to verbally say I need to just stop or whatever. Just like have a little plan in place just for future reference. Again, if you've been sisters before, like kind of like sisterly stuff, like, I just need to slam the door in your face, and then I'll be good. That kind of stuff. So just have a plan in place to move through personal conflict with each other. And that's really it. And then again, keep supporting each other's voices. That is the biggest thing. The like, even if one of you is beating yourself up for something you said, just come in as a cheerleader. Like, it's okay. If it slipped out, just trust it was divine. It was meant to happen. And forgive yourself for saying something that you didn't mean to say. Just really support each other's voices, I guess is what I could say.
And that's it for today's episode. Until next time, stay curious.